I don't think hunger's the right word because I believe I'm always hungry for it. You know, I have clear goals. First things first, it's gonna be gratitude for whatever opportunities I get. It's gonna be tough. You know, I think I got to feel it out. I'm gonna have to adapt. It's gonna be a different setting, obviously. You know, going to a different province. I don't know anybody. It's just gonna be going out there and doing what I do.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 8th episode of the book, The Real Story. Thank you for everyone that's been tuning in. We have a super cool guest today. We have had a chance to coach him this year at the University of Calgary as the strength coach. The President's Trophy winner, the defensive MVP in the nation, the 14th overall pick in the CFL Draft, Nate Beauch, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you for taking this on. I know you have a lot going on, leaving soon, so I just want to take the opportunity to sit down and talk to you before you go.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Oh, no, it's pretty cool. It's the first time that I have a guest that's just freshly out of college.
Yeah, you
know, young buck getting ready to live out his dream. So I'm excited to see you out there play and see you out there. And I actually going to my hometown, Montreal. I know you've been working on your French, and
a little bit.
I'm excited to hear on TV a little bit of what you've learned so far. So I just wanted to kind of dive in really quickly. This whole draft process, there has been a lot of talks about. This year it was pretty interesting because there's a lot of NCAA players in the draft, right? A lot of guys which is cool. You see a lot of Canadians going out there playing D1 and having success there, and I also feel a little bit that youth sport player got a little bit neglected in that draft, you know, in terms of having a certain status and playing Division I is a great thing, but this is also a Canadian game, right?
Very true.
When you play youth sport, you get to play the Canadian game. It's a little bit different. And seeing you kind of move around in the rankings, I was quite interested about how they did that. How did you feel when you see your name? I don't know if you've even paid attention to it, seeing your name shift back and forth depending on the period of the year. How did that make you feel?
You know, I mean, I don't disagree with you that the D1 guys get a little bit more love, which I can't necessarily disagree with because, right, like it does take a certain type of athlete to be able to make it there.
100%.
But, you know, I felt a little bit of disrespect towards me, you know, seeing that we come from the Dinos. Dinos don't have the best record. You know, this guy can't be all that. But, you know, I believe in myself, and I truly do believe that I should have been higher. And you know what? It's not going to, you know, discourage me or anything. It's more just fuel
100%.
to really be better and prove to everyone and prove to myself that I know I am or why I am the player I am, and I can do what I can do.
100%. You know, when people were talking, and I'm not going to say names, and talking about, because there was a lot of really good DBs in the draft. And I personally felt, you know, and it ended up happening that way, that you were the most pro-ready DB in the draft, right? Based on what I saw. And also, I've had some experience at the pro level, understanding what it takes to play at that level and what they're looking for, right? And you can look at all these measurables, and which are good. You also talked about these D1 players. Yes, you're right. The physical abilities that they have to play at that level, it's impressive.
Of course.
You know, it's very impressive that they want to take anything away from that. But there's also, it's a game that's also played in here.
Very much so.
I also know how you play the game and understand how you can. Obviously, I've seen you practice multiple times, and I knew that you were the best DB in the draft for that reason, and it panned out that way, right? How did that make you feel to be the first DB picked?
I mean, that was the best feeling ever. You know, again, it's like I want it to be as high as possible. You know, again, I felt like I was slept on a little bit, and so going first as the DB, it felt great. You know, it feels good to know that the coaches are seeing that this guy is the best, if not one of the top. Because you see all the media, you know, they like to show love to the other players, especially the players that play out east. So, you know, it feels great to get the recognition.
For sure.
As always, though, job's never finished. You know, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, 100%. And again, this is we talk about this draft process and all these things, like it's like the end point. That's just the start, right? And there's a lot that you're gonna have to go out there and show. And I'm not worried about you, but this is it's a good confidence boost to know that you've done the right things on the football field, and also the way you presented yourself. This is a long process, right?
Absolutely.
Started with East-West. You got to go out there East-West, and it's a first impression, right? How you conduct yourself. You're still new. Going there with these pro coaches. This is a new thing, right? You're used to, perform with your coaches and have some familiarity there, but you have a bunch of people looking at you, and you have to go out there and do a kind of like a mock combine there and all these practices to get to this point. I'm excited for you, but one thing that was a big knock on you, and I feel like you felt that I had a chance to work with you this year in the combine prep, David and I, to get you ready, but I knew there was something that was kind of a chip on your shoulder there, which was the 40, right? You were always worried about that, and I could feel it. Talk to me a little bit about, you said that East-West wasn't probably not your best performance. How did that make you feel?
Again, it's combine testing is never my strong suit, right? It's always on the field, and I think that's the most important thing is can you play ball? But I know how some coaches put more weight into the measurables than others, and so you never want to perform poorly and have someone kind of write you off their board because he runs a slow 40. And so for something so simple as that, that's what I was really worried about. Is coaches seeing that and saying, okay, well, we can't take this guy because he can't run. Again, it's like my confidence comes from my ability to play, my ability to uplift my teammates and make plays together, not from the small things like the 40 or the shuttle. I don't find those things are important, in showing what you are as a football player.
Throughout this process and this getting ready for the, getting you guys ready for the combine, obviously I get you. We work on the drills, but we forget that there are drills. You know what I mean? Like there's a science to it. There's a technique to it, right? And I just wish that let's just put GPS trackers on the guys and have them run and see how they actually move on the field, right? Instead of having them run in a straight line. There's not a lot of time in football that you're just running in a straight line.
Yes,
for
very
40,
rarely, right?
For 40 minutes. Even on kickoff, you got to avoid people. There's a lot going on, right? And the 5-10-5, you're running to one side and touch the line. You're never doing that on the football. It's not even an agility drill. It's a change of direction drill, which shows things, right? And I'm not knocking off those drills completely because it shows things, but there's a lot of things that football, when you turn on the film, you can see how fast somebody is.
Right.
But in that process, when we got on the track and started working on, I've obviously worked with you this season. I've seen how strong you are. You're a strong player. And your ability to maintain certain position, it was just a testament to how strong you are. I'm talking about in the acceleration phase. And then we kind of worked on that during the combine, and then I was like, okay, well, he's actually moving pretty well. And then when we got upright and started running longer distances, I looked at Dave. I'm like, oh, top end. That's what
that was always it. Yeah,
we need to work on that, which we did, right? And he actually ended up going and running a really, really good 40, right? And I was super happy for you.
Yeah, so was I. I really couldn't have asked for more. I knew what I was going to get, so. I was content with it.
That's awesome. And you did a great job. But the one thing I want to talk about a little bit in terms of that, because I know how you play the game. I work with a lot of athletes, and from different sports. And everybody comes here and say, oh, I want to run faster, right? Which is great. You need to maximize your abilities to run as fast as you can, because it's going to translate on the field in some way, right? Or on the field, on the ice, on the court, doesn't matter what sport you play, you want to be fast, be able to be agile. But one of the big components that they miss is speed, and game speed is two different things.
Completely different.
I've seen a lot of guys, they run super fast, and then you give them a task, and they look like
everything slows down.
They look super unathletic, right? I'm like, dude, where's that 4-for-40? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that people miss, is being able to understand the game. And which allows you to play fast. Because when people talk about your speed, no, Nate's fast because he plays fast. What can you say about game speed? Because this is something that you do very, very well. You process information super fast.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Well, I mean, it's really a couple things. It's confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
It's confidence in your technique and your abilities to play, in your ability to read the play and trust that your read is correct. Like Marcello used to say, always, if you're going to make a mistake, you make it going 100%.
That's right.
So it's really just the confidence in yourself that you know what you're doing, you're making the right decision, and it's going to work out, right? And again, it's like I do have the speed. Is it the craziest speed you've ever seen? No, right? But I have that 100% trust in myself that what I'm doing out there is correct, and you really got to break it down into more simple terms. You got to do your job, right? The big mistakes this year that I made always happened when I was worrying about what other things are going to happen, especially the run game. Like I gotta come down in there quickly. But that's not my role, right? And so again, it's just the speed comes from knowing what you're doing and making that decision 100% speed.
Yeah, for sure. And a big thing too is it's pretty cool that you playing DB at UC. I've obviously played DB at UC as well, and coming from a certain standard of preparation. And as I've talked before with my first guest, actually with Doc, is the preparation that comes with playing at UFC and being coached with Marcello, and now you being coached with Mike Edam, who's a highly decorated CFL player.
Absolutely.
And that understands the game very well. I had a chance to play with him at UFC and at the pro level. Is the preparation, right? How did you go about your preparation weekly to make sure that you were able to play fast and recognize things fast?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's always film, right? It's the film and the reps on the field. You guys as coaches always had us in these stressful positions, which is really the only things that can cause issues on the field in game. But for me, it starts, I guess, with day one, right? I always would come in early with a small group of guys, and we'd watch film. We'd break it down day by day. So day one, it would be 1st and 10, possession and 10. You'd break it down further into formations, and you'd do that throughout the week. Day 2, 2nd and 10, day 3, red zone. I would also watch film in my classes, just getting the extra work in,
For sure, 100%. You kind of, I don't want to sound bad. You kind of have to steal reps when you can, right?
You gotta optimize your time.
That's right.
And then I'd watch the practice film after practice. I find that's the least important of the film you can watch. I think the most that you're going to get out of it comes from watching the team you're playing, right? So it starts with that. I take lots of notes. But I have a pretty good memory. If I see something once, I can recover that from my memory very quickly.
Sure.
And so, again, that's what makes the game speed quicker for me, is those decisions happen quickly, and I trust myself.
Those reps that you take in practice, you're a very vocal player, right? That's something that, if we hear somebody on the field, is Beauch.
Yeah.
Right? Beauch is talking a lot. And I always feel like when you talk a lot, it's kind of it's like a rehearsal,
yes.
right? And you're kind of rewatching film in your head in a way, because you're actually verbalizing it. And I think this is a very important thing that to obviously, depending on the sport you may not be able to do it as much.
Yeah.
But being able to verbalize those things really help as well, which also makes you a really good safety, right?
Yes.
Talking about the quarterback, this is pretty much the quarterback of the defense, having to be able to verbalize those things, right? But now being the quarterback of the defense, how are you able to maximize what you're doing as a player, but also it's one thing that I always found difficult as a safety is you have to know what you're doing, but you got to get everybody else aligned, right?
Yeah.
And which sometimes, because you're trying to get everybody else aligned, puts you in a bad position because you're trying to do everybody's job in a way, right?
Yeah.
How do you get guys to prepare themselves in a way that allows everybody to do their job properly during the week so they can do it in the game.
Yeah. Like I said, we'd come in early as a group and watch it together. A lot of it's leading by example.
Yeah.
It's for having very high standards.
For
It's pushing your players especially hard in practice. If they mess up, I'm going to let them know in practice. But that changes in game. It's just I want the best for everyone I'm playing with. I want them to understand or try and understand my mindset that I have going into a practice. It's you got to treat that like you're playing. I'm competing against the offense. They're not my team for that period, right? So again, it's trying to bring everyone up. It is quite difficult, right? It gets frustrating sometimes because you have such a high motor.
That's right.
I want to succeed very badly, and you see others that just don't share that mindset. Sometimes, sometimes you can bring those guys up with you, and sometimes you just can't waste any more time on them, and you gotta bring up the guys that are in with it,
For
right?
sure.
So, it's you can only do what you can do, right? You can control what you can control. It's just about bringing guys up and trying to get them to understand, what it takes to be great and to what it takes to win, right?
For sure. And being in a position where being a highly competitive person like you are, right? And then when you talk about leading, it's not just leading on the football field. Is you starting from January when I had the opportunity to get the job, there's you get there at 6 a.m. and there's 80 dudes that's staring at you, and now you have to lead them. And right away, as a strength coach, you have to find the guys that you can lean on. Right?
Yes.
And that is to me, I think, beyond all the knowledge and the science and all these different things that you need to have, you need to be able to surround yourself as a strength coach with the leaders that are going to be able to relay the message that you're trying to relay, right?
Absolutely.
Because you can't do it all by yourself. And that's why I'm always really grateful for all the leaders that we have at the Dinos, because, yes, we have some success in the strength in the weight room, but that is driven by the players that go out there and do the work every day. And the younger guys, the guys that get to see that, right? And you are extremely competitive in the weight room. Where does that come from?
I think that comes from having 3 brothers. 2 older brothers, right? So growing up, I was the youngest child for a little while. Yeah. I would always get picked on. We're always playing sports against one another, playing video games against one another. It really definitely began there. I hated losing to those those boys.
Because you got to go back home and they're going to keep talking.
They're going to talk their smack.
Yeah.
They're going to push you around, and at that time there's not much you can do about it. So, it really comes from the hatred of being little, of not being able to do anything about it. So I think that's where it stems from.
That's pretty cool. We're actually going to talk about your family in a little bit, but one thing I want to touch on is you being able to lead the guys. And when I talked about the most pro-ready DB in the league, is I've seen how you play the game. And once week 1 goes, obviously we had some difficulty on the first week, but I knew that there are some players that was going to start shining, and it was just a matter of time. And right away, week 2, you took off, right? And I was proud of that because I knew that it's not a surprise. Right? It's not it didn't happen by mistake. That's something that you've done, right? In high school, you've done it in college before that, and now the season that you've had is a true testament of all the qualities that we just talked about that led you to be the defensive MVP in the nation. To have that kind of recognition as a player, how much confidence does that give you?
Oh, it gives me a lot, right? I mean, I've always had that in myself. I think that's one of the most important things to be a great football player, let alone a great DB, right? Like sometimes you're put on islands. You got to have full trust in yourself to know what you're doing. But it's always like kinesiology. I've taken a lot of sports psychology, exercise psychology courses, and I forget the specific theory, but you talk about relatedness, autonomy, and competence, and it's really there's sub levels to that, and that comes from past experiences, right?
By doing things.
Yeah, right, and mastery experiences, and so those are just getting the recognition is just proof of those, which then further increase my confidence, right? It's building a more solid foundation for what I believe in myself.
For sure. And it's really cool that you brought that. Obviously, you know what I'm studying now and almost done with school, but it takes me back to COVID. And COVID was the craziest thing. Obviously, it's one thing when you're in it, and once you remove, then you look back, and it's like, this was the craziest thing I've.
Yes, it was.
There's no way my mind could have thought that this could have happened before, right? And then you're in it, and obviously grateful at the time that I was an adult that had things going on, and I had an opportunity to maximize certain things because I took advantage of the time. We just had a bunch of time, right? But when that's when I also started working with a lot of young athletes, and I was grateful that I had the abilities to give them something to do, right, and kind of work with them. But I feel like now we're seeing the repercussions of things and the amount of soldiers we lost in that battle, right? And especially the young athletes, especially the ones in high school. And you talked about, the term will be self-concept and the confidence you acquire, right? And through doing things. Yeah. Because a lot of kids lost the ability to do things, they lost confidence. I saw a lot of really good athletes and really good players that went to college and nowhere to be found. Yeah. They were lost, right? They lost their confidence. They lost that juice, right? But when I saw you I call you the Renaissance player, right? You kind of always, the old school mentality that you come into work and blue collar, always ready to work and nothing phases you and you can be smacked in the mouth. You just get up and ask for it more. How were you able to maintain that throughout all of this time? Because I don't think it's by mistake.
No, right? I mean, it definitely comes from work. And I believe that either a lot or all of anyone's confidence comes from self-control. And that's self-control in staying away from, drugs and alcohol. It's self-control of going to the gym. It's self-control with going to bed, putting your phone down, self-control of keeping your diet right. During COVID, I was working out 6 days a week. My diet got in check. And, do I slip up? Absolutely, right? I'm still human. But I have that self-control and I have the knowledge that I know what it takes to do what I want to do.
Who gave you that knowledge?
I don't think there's no one person that gave it to me, right? I've had many very influential, very, very wise people in my life. And, I just think I'm very good at gathering the information from them and really locking in those key pieces that really stick with me. And it's just about doing it. It's simple stuff. It's not easy, but it's simple. That's right. Right? So I just do the simple things right and do it consistently. And, it's like it's been 6 years since I, really locked in, especially in all the things I listed before. And you see it paying off now, right? Like 6 years later, it's really coming together.
For sure. And tremendously. It's very impressive to see that process. And I'm not trying to, when I talk about this process, I don't know what I would have done in that, when you don't have access to sports, you don't have access, every week is a new thing. You're trying to figure out, okay, this is what I'm planning next week, but I have to sit down and hear what's going to be told this week and what I'm actually able to do, right? I have a plan here, but I got to wait for so-and-so to tell me if I can do it. I think it also affected people mentally.
Yes.
You talk about self-control. It's good in theory, right? And you were able to do that. But a lot of kids at that age, it's hard to probably don't have it yet.
Yeah.
And it's hard to develop that when you're battling mental things and you're trying to figure out when you're coming out of high school, all you can think about is, okay, I'm going to play college, and this was going to. But then you don't get to play your grade 12 year, and you're like, oh, I'm actually going to go play in college.
Yeah.
Now you have your plan and all the things you want to do, but now you start doubting yourself. You know, you're wondering who you are. You lose your sense of identity. So that was a really challenging time, and I'm really happy to hear that you were able to do that. But you probably had a lot of people around you, and a lot of athletes around you that couldn't do it. They couldn't figure it out.
No,
right?
absolutely. I mean, I was very lucky. It's like it's like my parents supported everything I do and still do. You know, so that helps with the diet. You know, my dad and brother put together like a $10,000 gym in our house.
Wow.
Right. So it's like that makes my working out easier.
For sure.
And you know, again, like you said, that competitiveness, it was not easy, right? It wasn't easy for anybody. And I think I just had a clear plan, a clear purpose. I knew what I wanted, which makes everything else easier, right? It makes your direction easier. It makes that self-control bit a little easier.
How are you? You talked about competing. The interesting thing at that time is, at times you were able to train, but there is cap, right? Maybe you can only work with one person, right? So now you talked about you having to work out in your garage. I feel like working in groups, and that's the cool thing about the off-season training in college, when you have 80 dudes trying to do the same thing, and then the last thing you know, that you see this guy lifting this much, then you have a little bit of motivation.
You gotta bump yours up.
But like, you in the gym, in your bed, in your garage, whatnot, you do something cool, and there's just nobody to compare yourself to, and to kind of compete with. Not going to say compare, but compete with. How are you able to compete in the garage?
I'm competing against myself, right? It's what weight was I pushing last week? What weight was I pushing a month ago? It's I got to bump that up.
For sure.
You know, I have the mindset that I'm not complete. Right, I can get stronger, I can get faster, I can get better, right? And so that was really always in the back of my mind, knowing that I have to be better if I want to do what I want to do. And so that is what really drove me to keep going, keep working harder.
And and now once you were obviously you are able to maintain that and able to go to college, how was it to go to college after missing your senior season? Now you get reintroduced to football again, and you have people from all over coming in that I just experienced the same thing as you. Do you feel like you had a step ahead of all these people? How was it that transition? How did you feel like you stacked up around all these guys? Did you feel like they did the same thing you did?
You know, I guess I didn't really know what they were doing. You know, I think I would have assumed that they were doing the same thing. Even if they weren't, it's better to assume they were, right? Because it makes me work harder. It makes me feel like I gotta make sure I'm on top of the ball here to stay that step ahead, right?
Do you feel like you had a step ahead when you walked in?
It was hard to say. You know, it's hard to say. Like instead of a senior season, I got to play 8-on-8 touch football.
Okay.
Right? Like it's not the same.
Sure.
You know, but the mentality never left. You know, again, it was just like I wanted to be the best. And so I would have felt like I was a step behind, right? Coming in as a rookie. I had big goals for myself. You know, I didn't when I got that first dress on special teams, you know, I'll be honest, I wasn't that happy. I was like, this ain't much. I want to be playing defense. And you know, you have the other third, fourth year guys that are hyping me up, and I honestly, I just didn't understand it, because I was like, "What? This ain't much." Like, okay,
yeah, but it starts with standard.
Yeah,
and that is important too. People just think it just happens, right? It just I'm just gonna get to college, and it's just gonna happen that way. But you haven't lived that life.
No,
it starts about living that life daily from the young age.
Absolutely.
And the cool thing about your family situation is being the younger brother. It's always competition.
Yeah.
Everything.
And you're
Who's
always
eating the last piece of cake?
You're always behind too, right? Like, well, my oldest brother, he's 6 years older than me.
That's right.
Right? Like, even if he's a small little soccer player now, a couple years or many years ago, I was a little dude, so you know, he was kicking my ass.
For sure. I just recall even with my family, there's 5 of us, and like, okay, there's food. who gets to eat.
We still have that competition.
It's competition. Yeah. You know, you got to be there earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, it is what it is. And I think the advantage you had is the mindset you had walking in. Mm-hmm. Obviously, physically, it doesn't matter where you come from, how much weight you lifted, unless you're physical specimen. Mm-hmm. At 18 years old, you have a development to do, right?
Of course.
That's just normal. But I don't think it's never too early to instill certain values and have a certain mentality. So when you get there, that's your edge. That can be your edge, and that can do a lot of things, right? You can bench the house, but you can't if you don't have that mentality, that you won't be able to express it.
Exactly.
But I'm sure that this comes from something. I want to dive into your family a little bit, right? Because when we got to the combine, we saw not the combine, the draft day. Your whole family was there, right? And it was pretty cool to see how well surrounded you were, and you being so sharp. I know that they had a big part in that. And you're obviously talking about your siblings and what they've done, but talk to me a little bit about your family and the day-to-day and why you guys are so sharp and so disciplined in what you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a little bit hard to say, right? But you know, a lot of that comes from the Britain side of my family. Like, we're very close, you know, especially younger. You know, as you grow up, of course, you grow apart a little bit. But growing up, you know, we would, first of all, my family's there's my nanny and papa. Bill and Linda Britton. So Bill was a lawyer, one of the biggest lawyers in Calgary, and then also played pro ball, right? So he was a very, you know, strict by the book Catholic man. So I think that's where a lot of the values came in. You know, that got instilled into my mom. And so, you know, first of all, having a big family around you to take care of you, it keeps you in check. It helps instill the values that the rest of them have. So there's that. And yeah, it's just, you know, you know people have your back. That they love you. They know they only want the best for you, which just helps you to, you know, keep doing what you're doing and know that even after a setback, you got 60 people behind you. That's right. That are all blood, and they all want to see you succeed. So, you know, I'm blessed. I truly am. You know, I know my grandpa talks about, you know, he says, I hate when siblings don't talk to each other anymore. And it's like, I don't have that problem. You know, I know that everyone in my life will love me for who I am and what I'm doing. And that just makes it all easier, right? It knows that I know if I mess up, it's all good. I got someone back there who's got my back. You know, if I didn't get drafted or if I get cut, life's not over. You know, I got people behind me, and they're gonna pick me up and they're gonna say, keep going. So, you know, it makes it all easier.
That's awesome. It's pretty special to see a family that's so tight. And that's how I felt when I saw you guys. You guys really tight, and excited to see each other, and excited for you. Understanding all the work you put in, and I always feel like, because you're the youngest one, right? And you have the ability. I'm the youngest one in my family as well, and you have the abilities to have everybody kind of rooting for you. Yeah. Right? When you're the oldest one, you're the first one, you know.
You're kind of expected to do it, right?
That's right. Yeah. But for you, it's like everybody, you've seen everybody's done, okay, this guy's done the right thing here, made a mistake here. You kind of have it, it's kind of like you have the blueprint a little bit of how to do things.
Exactly.
And the support, right? And it's super powerful to have also brothers that, even though they pick on you, they're still there to support you.
Hey, it's like now I appreciate it. Appreciate them for it.
Definitely. And obviously it's always love, right? Yeah. But to have, like, it's a cool thing that you have that in your family. You've always talked to your siblings, because at the end of the day, when things go south, those are people who are going to show up. Yeah, right?
Exactly.
You obviously you have your friends and all, but those are people that have an unconditional love towards you.
Exactly.
And it's good that you had that. But now you are in a locker room with guys that may not have that, right? And they may not have that solid foundation of people, or may not have as many, right? And not saying that you have to have a ton of people, you have to have the right people supporting you.
Yes.
But I can always see when you have, obviously with the football team, the cool thing about football is that's the one sport where there's a lot of dudes in the locker room.
Yeah, you get all different types of people, right?
All different type of people, different race, different different religious background, different. They come from different cities. They have different experiences, all in one room. And I sometimes feel like some guys are expected to do certain things without understanding that, okay, like, yes, you expect me to do this, but I don't have this. I'm not him. I don't have this support. I don't drive this kind of car. I don't have all these things. When you are a person like you that have access to a lot of support, doesn't mean that you don't have your challenges. You have challenges, the things that
everyone has them, right?
Yes, but how do you, and what I like about you is the support you have brought to the team and the leadership qualities you have. How are you able to support the guys that may not have that kind of support?
Well, it comes from, first of all, you got to recognize what you have yourself, right?
That's right.
And I know that I'm blessed beyond what I could have asked for, right? And so, again, like you said, it's not everyone has that, and most people don't have that. I'm in a very unique situation, family-wise at least, right? And so, I know some players, you don't know how all players react, and a lot of my mindset towards how I treat my teammates comes from Brent. He talked a lot about compassion, and it's just you don't know what that person's dealing with. You don't know what their family's life is like. You don't know what school is like. You don't know if they're going through a breakup or whatever it may be in their life, right? So you just got to treat everyone with respect. Show them that they're loved, that that they have people outside of who they think cares for them, right? Like, it's kind of harder to see, a guy like myself talking to a first year. It's like, well, he doesn't know me. He barely knows my name, but that doesn't matter. I still care about you. You're part of this family. I'm going to help you with whatever you need, and I'm going to make sure that you know that someone has your back. If no one else has your back, I got it.
And it's cool that you have that, because it's hard to do that in a competitive sport like football. Because at the end of the day, the young cats come in and take your job. Right? Realistically, that's obviously there's respect in the room and love, but it's competitive. The young guys come in and take your job. Whoever's in the room, especially depending on, you're playing DB is very competitive. You want to show that compassion, but sometimes I feel like guys have a hard time doing that because there's like people become territorial, right? They feel good about what they have, so they want to make sure they keep that position and don't want to give it to someone else. But you still have to have the confidence in yourself to be able to, listen, I can still help this person and do my job and have success. And I think that's kind of like a lost thing sometimes, especially now you're getting ready to go to a pro camp. We talk business now. This is business. Right? Obviously, you sport, you got a chance to experience business a little bit, but now it's business. People, this is their livelihood. You're gonna go to locker rooms with people that they have kids. They play. You play football different when you.
I gotta take a man's paycheck.
You play football different when you have kids, right?
I'm sure you do.
You have mouths to feed, and sometimes I remember my experiences. And again, not to say names, but there are guys that did an excellent job mentoring and leading and showing love. At times, I felt that more from guys that played different positions, maybe not in the DB room, because people kind of feel like you're coming for their stuff, right? Yeah. But there's some guys that, again, there's guys that did a great job, and there's some guys like, dude, like, you can say hi, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can...
There's levels to it.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand what you're trying to do, but you can still... I'm coming here, I don't know anything. And the sad part is some guys that are veterans, they've had those vets that showed them the way.
Yeah.
And now when they have it, they don't want to give it.
They want to do the same.
So that's something to be mindful of. But walking in as a young guy in the CFL that you have the experience to do, you'll have a lot of guys around you. Now you get to relive you being a young guy again, the first freshman again, right? What do you think you're gonna do different from the first time to the second time now being in the pro?
First things first, it's gonna be grateful or gratitude for whatever opportunities I get.
For sure.
like you said, though, this is a business. It's going to be a little bit more, I don't think hunger's the right word, because I believe I'm always hungry for it.
For sure.
But it's, I have clear goals, right? It's first things first, make the dress roster. Second things is get on the defense, right? So it's gonna be tough. I think I got to feel it out. After training camp, I'd be able to give you a better answer. But I'm gonna have to adapt. It's gonna be a different setting, obviously. Going to a different province. I don't know anybody. It's gonna be interesting, but it's just gonna be going out there and doing what I do.
For sure. But I'll give you an advice. There is find the guys that has there are different types of leaders, right? There's leaders that lead to win games, and they're great leaders, right? They come in, they're winners, and they just want to win. There are leaders, actually I'll say three types. There's leaders that they're great people, but they may not be the best players, right? They're just great people, and they have good values, and they're the ones that have both, right? Find the guys that have both. They have competitive edge, but they also have compassion, like Brent said, right? And that can give you the tools that allow you to be a good football player, but also allow you the tools to have success off the field.
Right.
Then it teaches you how to conduct yourself, how to speak to the media, how to show up to meetings, what to do on the weekends, right? Because you're gonna you're going from a super regimented schedule to well, it's 2:00. What am I doing?
Already watched 4 hours of film today.
Yeah, it's nice out. It's Montreal. I'm from Montreal. There's a reason why I decided to come to Calgary, because there's a lot of distraction there. Beautiful city. I love Montreal. I love it. Always has my heart. But I knew myself, and I knew that I needed to remove myself a little bit, because there's just a lot of distraction there.
So I've heard.
There's a lot going on, right? So you need to find the guys that can teach you, okay, you can still have fun, you can still have a balanced life, but you need to know how to do it.
Yeah. Where
to be, when to leave, right? Yeah. That's the biggest thing. When to leave the place, right? There's nothing good that happens after 2 a.m. That's something
I've heard that.
Yeah, that's right. You need to know, but you need to find those guys, right? And you may not find it in your room, right? I hope that you do. But you need to seek those guys. Don't wait for them to come to you.
Right.
You got to go and find it.
Yep.
And some guys, as leaders, they go and find you, but I encourage you to do that, because you won't know all the answers on your own, right? But now, going back to ball, which is what you excel at, right? You go out there and do your thing. There's gonna be a lot of eyes on you, right?
Yep.
There's a high expectation on you. How are you dealing with that expectation?
Well, again, it's that trust and confidence in myself, right? Don't get me wrong, nerves are definitely there, right? But I believe in myself that, with time, I get used to it. You figure the ropes out. That's the scariest part of this all, is everything's new, right? New city, new team, new systems, new friends. It's everything. So, it's just about going in there, and it is going to be a learning curve. You got to figure out what flies, what doesn't. But again, it's like I'm not too worried about it. You got to feel it out, right? And it's going in there with an open mind. Again, figuring out what works and what doesn't.
The nerves is a good thing.
Yeah,
it shows that you care. You care about succeeding. If you want to say, I'm good, if you told me that, I would have been you about to get smacked. You about to get smacked
in a world of pain.
Yes, because it's tough.
Yeah.
The first year of camp is tough. There's a lot going on. Things move fast. Guys, the one thing you only realize is you're a cerebral player, but there's guys that know the game, and they know the CFL game. And there are guys you'll look at, he's not that athletic. They know how to make plays because they're very smart. They know they know where to be. They know how to take care of their bodies. They're available. They know what to do, right? It's a big thing, but having those nerves is normal.
Absolutely.
And when you get there, it's like, especially the first practice, you go there and it's new faces, a lot of things going on. There's going to be a lot of nerves. have you visualized that moment of the first day of practice?
No, I haven't visualized it, but what I do is a lot of self-talk.
So,
You know, I talk to myself a lot actually, but especially in those moments when it comes down to performance, whether that's school or football, it's always, you know, you got to get rid of any negative self-talk you may have, and it's just you got to remind yourself that, you know, like you've done the things to prove to yourself that you can do this and that you belong here, and it's just all trusting yourself that, you know, that actually what you're saying to yourself is true. And, you know, like him, you got to trust the process. You know, that's what it's all about.
Have you talk a lot about confidence and self-talk and all these things, and I think that I can see that in you, but for the audience out there that's paying attention to this, it doesn't mean that you don't doubt yourself.
Definitely does not.
That those moments there, right? And does that happen? How does that? What makes you doubt yourself?
What makes me doubt myself? That's a great question. You know, it's well, I guess I remember the missed plays, the just completely whiffed plays, right? Those kind of just knowing that they happen, those will make me doubt myself. But then again, you come back to the self-talk where it's like, okay, well, mistakes are gonna happen, right? It's you can't be perfect, but that's what you're shooting for. But you know, it's just to not get discouraged, you know, too much. You know, there's nothing that has been that terrible that really has knocked me off my course. So, you know, there's nothing that I can't handle. You know, it's just knowing what you got to do.
The one thing that you will experience that you haven't experienced yet is that Canadian tag you have as a DB, right? This is something that a lot of Canadian DBs can relate to, is when you show up there, there's going to be, it may not be said, but you can feel it at times, where people feel like, Canadian DB, you can only do this and that. And playing DB is 100%, the one thing that's sure is you will get beat.
Yeah.
That is sure. That is, you can't avoid it. It is going to happen. There's guys in front of you that get paid like you or more to get the job done, right? They watch film just like you. They practice just like you. They're grown men just like you. They are paid to beat you, and it will happen. You will get beat, and that's the negative self-talk that can happen is that. Maybe they're right. Maybe Canadians can't, you know?
You know, what if it happens again?
You know what I mean? Like, you know, is it my job? Is it what's going to happen? Are they going to put me back on special team because I'm a Canadian DB? But you need to believe in yourself, right? And there's one play in my career that I will always remember is I got on the field that day and I was going through stuff mentally, and I had a rough night. I was dead tired. But for some reason, I just felt something was going to happen today. And I just I went to the game, and first quarter, I got to go in. I was still a young DB at the time. I got to go in, and I got to go and I had to actually go play boundary corner, right? Which is, for Canadian DB, is not something, it's different, right? You don't put your Canadian DB on.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that, one thing I'm grateful about with my first experience at SAS is, the defensive coordinator there always put me in position where it was very stressful, but he believed that I could do it.
Yep.
And you going in there and you got to be boundary corner, and call is man to man, you got to go press, right? And I second-guessed myself, right? And I knew the ball was coming, and I second-guessed myself. And I just saw that ball going. You think you sport quarterback in total football?
Yeah.
You're going to see that ball flying in the air. And like you're going to feel confident about it. And then as it get closer, you'll realize that ball is actually not that ball is actually thrown a little bit further than
It's
you
still
think.
going.
Still going. And then you just see that ball in the guy's hand and 70-yard touchdown. And there's the walk of shame, right? You got to walk back to the bench. And that, to me, that's
those
the
moments.
Yeah, and, for sure. And that's when the positive self-talk comes,
Yeah.
right? You got to believe in yourself. You need to talk to yourself
100%.
because not a lot of teammates going to come to you and say, oh, it's okay.
No.
It's pro level. You got to go on the bench and you got to figure it out and find out for yourself that you have to remind yourself why you're there.
Of course.
And after that, I had one of the best games in my career because of that confidence that I put into myself, right? You need to go out there and put confidence into yourself every day because the stacks, the chips are often stacked against you as a Canadian DB. You need to believe in yourself and you need to tell yourself that you belong and you need to, obviously you got to continue to prepare yourself, but you need to have that because you won't always get that. And I'm excited to see how you handle that. But I know that you're going to a good position. You're going to a great organization that's going to do things the right way. But you may not always be there.
Yeah.
You may move around. You may be there. I hope that you get to play in the same organization for your entire career.
That's what I would love to.
But, at pro level, that's not something that you control.
It's business.
That's right. But that's something that you've done your whole life. You from the high school level, you got to college, did the same thing, believed in yourself. To make the plays that you made, pick sixes back and forth, you don't do that unless you have confidence in yourself.
Exactly.
And I know that you're going to do that at the pro level, and I'm excited to watch you play, right? And I don't know who you guys play first, and I haven't looked at your schedule, but take it 1 week at a time.
Yeah.
1 week at a time, the same way you've done it in college, and just make it better with all the knowledge you're going to get from all the vets that you're going to have to make it better, right? And have you had a chance to talk to some of those vets?
Yeah. Like in the CFL you're talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, we train with
on
them
the team
here,
that
right?
you're going to,
Very brief conversations. Austin Mack, we've talked a little bit. I talked with Tyson. They're very brief conversations, but nothing too in depth. Right.
Again, once you get there, be yourself.
Yeah.
Be authentic. A lot of times, that's something I did. Is you're a little shy, right? You want to make sure that you're not stepping on nobody's toes, right? Be yourself, and that your contagious energy that you have is gonna make room for you, right? And people are gonna recognize that. I mean, people may read it a certain way, or why is he feeling confident like that? But they'll understand it as you go because you're there for a reason.
Of course.
Right? And it's gonna be a very cool experience to see you. To see the transition, because there's one thing that I know that people can't take away from you is the way you go about your business.
Right.
Keep doing that.
Yeah.
One question that I have for you is, obviously we kind of talk back, and that's a question I ask every single guest, and we kind of talked on that a little bit, is, again, working together, you understand family is a big thing that I talk about, right?
Of course.
And one thing that we talked about, it was super cool, is you never forget your first one.
Yep.
And I remember saying that to you guys, because this year I will never forget. This was an amazing year. I got a chance to work with an amazing group of guys, and especially having a chance to work with you and seeing how you do things, and this also taught me how to lead better as well. I observe you guys, and there's always things that I take from you guys, and I'm always appreciative of the knowledge that you taught me how to lead, right? But you never forget your first one, and I'll never forget this year, and I'll never forget you as a leader. Now you get to go and do something for the first time.
Yeah.
Right? And what are you hoping to accomplish? What are you hoping to remember about that year?
About this coming year?
This coming year.
Well, it's taking it one day at a time, right? It's like I said, everything's new. But this is what I asked for. I wanted to go. I wanted to leave Calgary. That was really my desire. So it's about taking in everything. The new people you're going to meet. It's a new city. It's all new experiences. So it's taking the most out of it. But at the same time, I'm there for a reason. And like I said, I have a very clear goal for this year. and I want to get on the dress roster, and I want to be playing defense.
For sure.
You know, I want to contribute to the team in any way possible. You know, and it's you want to you're not going to solidify yourself as a rookie, but I want to start that foundation that, you know, this guy can be trusted and he can play at this level. And I like I said, I want to finish my career where I start.
For sure.
Right. I'm a very I get very attached to whatever team I'm on. And so, you know, I would love that. And you know, it's for the first year I got big goals. You know, I want to go out there and get the big goal is to get Rookie of the Year. That's the big plan.
100%.
But you know, there's a lot more steps that
For sure.
that got to lead to that.
100%. And the reason why I said that is because I had a chance to see you and understand how you go about your business, and you said it yourself, is you get attached to the environment that you're in, and you buy in. You know, that's you're kind of that soldier there that Roger that. That's your sentence. You kind of buy in and you go in and you get attached to it, which is why I brought the concept of family. You know, how are you going to be able to bring those values with you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, those have to be earned, right? Like, I care about the people I play with. Of course, this is a business first level of football that we're playing here. I got that question a lot in interviews. It's how are you going to deal with, you know, you got a veteran boundary half that's messing up, and you know he's messing up, but he's not going to listen to you. You know, it's how are you going to deal with that? And it's like, well, I don't think I can really say anything until I earn that myself, right? And that's going to start with showing them that I'm reliable, you know, showing up to practices, showing up to film, getting into work. But then at the end of the day, you really do got to make some plays.
That's right.
Right? You got to show that I can ball. Like I'm not just a Canadian white boy DB that, you know, just happened to get picked up here. I'm here for a reason.
For sure.
And I'm not here to make enemies with you. I'm not here to try and make you look bad. You know, it's quite the opposite. It's I want the most success for my team, for my teammates, and damn, I just want to win games. You know, I want to help in any way I can.
For sure. And I think you're approaching it the right way, you know, going in there and doing the right things, right? And it kind of always stems from who you are, you know, and how you go about your business. And I think the question I'm going to ask you will allow you to kind of reflect on how to go about going to that next chapter of your life. What does family means to you?
That's, you know, you could get many different answers for that. Family means to me that if you're family, then, you know, I care for you, I love for you with all my heart, unconditionally, and it's only I want the best for you, and you know I have the expectation that is also reciprocated, right? It's just about bringing one another up to be a better person, better teammate, better football player,
100%.
better businessman, whatever it may be. You know, just making you better. It makes you better.
100%.
Is really the simplest answer I could put that.
For sure. And when you go there, it's very hard to not get caught in the moment of, okay, you know, we're all competitive, right? And sometimes you do great things and you're excited, and then or the guy who's in front of you does great things and you're like, okay, well, he's playing well, I'm not gonna play, right? It's hard to show that love all the time and have that energy all the time.
Absolutely.
But that's where true success comes from, is to show love, lift people up. Whenever that happens, show people. Even though you're starting safety and this guy's messing up, you should always show love.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you don't know what kind of day he had. You don't know what's going on in his life. You don't know what he's thinking, right? You know, some people kind of there's like a snowball effect of things, right? You get one ball caught on you, and the second one, and the third one, and as you go, you can feel people looking at you start like, oh, like, get this guy off the field. The true leaders know how to help guys bounce back.
Very true.
You know what I mean? They know lift them up, right? Instead of looking them down, like you making me look bad. It's not about me, it's about us.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's true family. So, I know that you understand that. I'm excited to see you do that at the next level. A guest that was here before had a question for you, right? I always kind of ask guests to have a question for the next guest. And the question is, what is one of your core values that people don't know about you?
My core value? Well, I think I really am pretty open with it. Like I think people know that I'm hardworking. I think people know that I'm trustworthy, respectful. Value that people don't know about me though. I some people definitely do, but I would say loyalty. Like I said, like every team I'm on, I'm loyal to that. If you're my best friend, I got your back no matter what. It's like, I think like 21 has a song. Can't remember the name actually, but he talks about love and loyalty, and you can love me but still stab me in the back. And loyalty is quite the opposite. So you can hate me but still have my back, right? And so I think that's the most important. It's, you might piss me off right now. You might have pissed me off for the last week, and I don't like you right now, but you're my dog. So, damn it, it doesn't matter, and we're gonna carry on, and we'll get over it. We'll get over this feud that we have, but I still want to see you succeed. I still want to see you, just do well in all areas of life.
That's pretty cool. That's something that there's different levels of loyalty,
of course,
right? And you kind of went through it and you broken it down. And I when you said loyalty, it's like I know you're loyal, but the depth of it, right? People may not know the depth of how loyal you are, right?
It can be conditional sometimes,
that's
right? It's you gotta be providing for me, and as long as you're doing that, then I got your back. But as soon as shit goes sideways, I'm gonna go find an easier route, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I'm not about that.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. Lastly, I would like to. Now I'm kind of turning the mic to you, and you don't know who the next guest is gonna be, but whatever is on your heart, I would like you to leave a question for that next guest. What is it?
I like the thought of purpose. I guess, what gives you purpose in your life? That's pretty simple. You can take it many different ways. But I think you can get some good answers with that, right? It's like, for me, my purpose is football, right? But that goes so much further in depth, talking about my day-to-day. So what is your purpose or what gives your life purpose? It would be my question.
Thank you for that question. Before I end, I want to flip that question to you, because you just said your purpose is football, and I could tell that is your purpose, and it's and you go about, you live that. That's something that you go about your day about football, and when I look at you, I see the President's Trophy winner and all the accolades and all this, but there's more to you than that, right? And I don't want people to lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Right? There's more to you than football. And you said your purpose is football, which is, I think that you've been blessed with the abilities to play football
Absolutely.
at a very, very high level, and you live in it, and you're doing a great job at it. But what's the deep-rooted purpose of Nate Beauch?
That's a great question. Well, I guess when I say football, yes, it is just a sport, but I think you would agree with it. It comes with a lot more. It teaches you all about life, discipline, how to be a good man. I take that very seriously. How to be a good person, how to be just a good member of society, how to be a good son, good friend, good brother. It's football to me is almost like a blueprint of life. So I guess when I say my purpose is football, all of those attributes, those characteristics allow me to play football at a high level. But it really does begin with, just being a good person, getting in the weight room. It's being disciplined. It's consistency. It's, it's way more. It really is way more than just a sport.
How to master all the qualities and all the lessons and all the values that you learn through football. That is probably one of the greatest answers I've heard. Because people always talk about the game as it's like that's just kind of like what you see. Right?
Yeah.
But there's all the roots at the bottom of it that's why I think football is and I don't want to knock on the other sport. I think it's one of the greatest sports you can play.
I agree.
Because it teaches you so many things that solo sport can't teach you.
Yep.
There's team sport, but it's easy to avoid 20 people. It's hard to avoid 100.
Yep.
There's a lot of people on the football team that you need to learn to work with, to tolerate, to embrace, to lead, to learn from, and it's because everybody has come from different dynamics, and you learn so much in that.
Absolutely.
And once you master that, nothing in life is easy, but you learn how to navigate life.
Of course.
With ease, in to a certain level, because there's always going to be challenges, but the challenge that you live in football, and you recognize things so much faster, and you know how to deal with things so much easier, right? And that is, and I hope that you can continue to live that purpose. So one day in life, you can transition, because you're going to be able to do great things in life. You can take those values and make whatever you're going to do 10 times better.
Absolutely.
Because there's the great things you're going to do in football, but there's even greater things you're going to do in life, and I'm excited to see it.
Football's a very small part of life, right?
Right.
So doesn't last forever.
100%. So, Beauch, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm excited. I'm going to be watching, and I hope that you can continue to be your authentic self, because that's where you thrive.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for tuning in for the 8th episode of the book, The Real Story. Beauch, thank you so much for being here, and stay tuned for the next episode.